French heavy tanks, while they may be called heavy tanks, are really not known for their armor and more for their clipping capabilities and mobility. A good example of this is the AMX-50B. This tank's quick, it goes 50 kilometers per hour. It's got a power to weight ratio more comparable to a medium, and well, I mean armor? What armor? Its side armor is 30 millimeters thick. To put an example how bad that is the weakest side armor in all of Tier 10. It is the only side armor that is so weak in Tier 10 that it gets overmatched by every single Tier 10 in the game by 3 calibers rule. It's pretty dang weak. So, when you think about French vehicles, usually armor is not the first thing that comes to mind, even at Tier 8 like the AMX 5100. However, while this tank may look very similar to a 5100, it is very far off. If we make our way over to Armor Inspector, yeah, you can start to see the differences. This is an Emil 1951 aiming at the upper plate of a Samoa. Pretty strong armor. In fact, this is the strongest French heavy tank we've got in the game so far. It's available currently for 12,500 gold in the store, which is definitely too much money. And I'll tell you the issue I have with the Samoa. It has to do with the turret. Sure, the hull is very thick. Gun depression wise, 10 degrees. You can make that upper plate even with premium rounds from one of the highest pen tier 8s in the game at over 270 millimeters of pen, just non-pennable. But that premium on the turret, I mean, even fully hauled down, the turret's only around 230 thick, and that is not super strong for tier 8. I mean, even most tier 7s like the T29 are going to cut straight through that turret armor. I really just don't like the fact that this tank centers all of its armor around the upper plate, because when you're poking ridgelines, you're showing your turret, not the upper plate, and judging that this thing has gun depression, usually you try and use it. So, it's kind of a counterintuitive playstyle. You have all this gun depression to use, but when you use it, you're hiding your upper plate, which is strong, and showing the weakest part of your tank, which is the turret. Yeah, that's a bit of an issue. Let's compare that to a premium tank that's always been one of the top performing, the Emil 1951. Now sure, on flat ground this tank seems quite poor. However, when we use the 10 degrees of gun depression, this is what it looks like. Even with premium shells of 263 pen, you're not going to cut through that upper plate or the turret because it's such a steep angle. Now sure, if you put on calibrated shells, you can cut through. But there is not a lot of tier 10s that have the easiest, not tier 10s, tier 8s, that have the easiest time cutting through this vehicle's turret. I mean, a good example of this, if we just go over to the Chinese tanks like the WZ-111, I mean, this is what it looks at. It's 287 millimeters thick on that turret. It's incredibly thick. So, yeah, I really like the Emil 1951 because instead of having a weak turret like the Samoa, it trades hull armor, it trades side armor, all to have that turret armor. And I will say the side armor on this tank is actually pretty strong. It's around 100 millimeters thick, which as we just went over, tier 10s on the French line are around, what, 30 millimeters thick? So it is quite impressive strong on the side armor. You can side scrape in this tank pretty well. The clip on the tank is very nice. It's 0.344 dispersion with around a 4.8 second aiming time. I don't love the aiming time. I think it's quite atrocious if I'm going to be honest. But because it's got a clip, it's able to penetrate its shells quite easily with the exact same penetration as the AMX 5100. It goes 40 kilometers per hour with a power to weight ratio of 16.4. But again, if we compare all those stats I just told you to the Emil 1951, well, the Emil 1951 has around 200 more DPM instead of 1880. It's got around 2050. Not only does the tank have more DPM, but as well, the Emil 1951 has basically the same mobility, going 40 kilometers per hour with a power to weight ratio of 15.6 instead of 16.4. The gun also has a better aiming time and the exact same dispersion. Also, it has more premium pen. So, gun-wise, it's kind of better than the Samoa. Mobility-wise, it's basically the same. So, yeah, really, it's kind of just better than the Samoa. The only difference is on a map like this, where you're using flat ground armor. This is where the Samoa is a really, really strong tank. Although you got to be careful not exposing that frontal track wheel, because the track wheel is a big weak spot on this tank. Obviously, the side armor, while it's thick, it's only about 100 millimeters, so you can cut right through the track wheel if you over-angle this vehicle and still penetrate the tank. Now, for some reason, even though the enemy team has 4 heavy tanks, they have pushed all of their heavy tanks down below. That was a weird call from their team, but hey, I'm going to use that mobility and try and come up behind their team, so we're going to see how that works out now. Speed is key. Obviously, 40 is not really the fastest for heavies. I mean, we do have vehicles like the AMX 5100, but I really can't complain. It's quick enough to get your tank into position. So let's see. Is there anybody around this corner here? Hello? Anybody? No, there isn't. All right. Well, Oh, we do have that Tiger 2 over here, but I don't think we're going to be able to get any shells into that Tiger 2 just yet. I'm going to keep pushing off to this side. I'm thinking that's probably going to be a little bit smarter. We might run into, okay, maybe not. We are spotted, and I didn't spot anything myself. Now, what that means is it's probably a tank destroyer, either the Scorpion G or the Borsig, but do I want to find out? No, I really don't. I don't want to lose all of my health to those tanks, so let's see if we can get some shells maybe into the rear of this IS-3 Bear. Here we go, aiming, and there's one shell into the rear. Let's go for number 2. Oh, and we ricochet right off the rear of the IS-3. Well, that kind of sucks, but you know what? If he's going to back up, we'll get a second shell in, and hopefully my T-34-2, there you go, finishes him off. So, that was a good example of the gun there. I mean, it's pretty good. 3-second entry clip, you're able to penetrate your opponents pretty easily. Obviously, that was the rear of a heavy tank, so not really that hard to penetrate anyways, but pretty good example anyway. Let's see, we got the T-28 HTC off to the side right here. Let's see if we can clip this guy. We got one shell in a second here, and boom, there you go. There's one shell into the T-28. There is 2, and obviously, since we're Clipper, let's get that third one out. Goodbye, and thank you very much for your hit points. Let's continue on pushing forwards. So, we're already at 1,389 damage. Reloading that clip again, 15 more seconds. The thing that I always like about Clippers is you use the time like this that you're not shooting enemies to just reload the clip. I'm gaining DPM in this time here. I'm not really doing anything with my tank, so yeah, I just wait, and let's see if we can get some shells into this AMX. There you go, nice bounce on the upper plate. Clearly this guy does not understand where to shoot my vehicle. And with that, we've got 2 tanks left over here. We've got the RHM and as well the Tiger 2. I just really want to get a slap out before I have to reload my gun. So there you go, nice tap into the Tiger 2. We're at 2,200 damage, which is already a pretty reasonable amount, to be honest. And 15 more seconds left, and we will have another clip ready to rumble. So there we go, 13, 12, 11, 10. Man, does this gun take a long time to reload, though. You can tell just how long that reload is on this vehicle. I mean, still waiting for 3, 2, 1, and here we go. There's one shell into the Tiger, and honestly, I'm not even going to waste another shell onto his tank. Much rather shoot at vehicles like the Scorpion and not have to wait 20 seconds for my clip to reload. So let's see if we can do that now. If I was the Scorpion G, and judging where I got detected, I would say the Scorpion is somewhere back in the corner of the map. Now, the guy could have flanked around, but I don't know. You never know what the enemy's going to do. So I'm going to try and just scour the back of the map really quick, see if he's over here. But this game showcased where the Samoa can be okay. I mean, I don't think the tank's bad at all. In fact, it's a very, very strong tank. The gun is fantastic. And if you're able to use it correctly, you're just going to do wonders in the tank. I mean, but that makes sense for any autoloader. If you give any autoloader some decent armor and a decent gun, you'll do pretty well in it. But we're going to compare this to the Emil in just a moment, and we'll see the difference in gameplay. So there's the Scorpion. Let's aim it on his vehicle. Aiming, and I'm going to take this snapshot right there. There's one shell in, and let's get one more out. There you go. Another nice tap for 240. And there you have it. Pretty decent game in the Samoa. I was wondering how we got detected by that Scorpion. It looks like he detected me from the rear, even though, yeah, I don't know. But either way, I guess we got spotted. That was a 3,200 damage game, though. Pretty solid if I do say so. Third class, though. Not too good on the mastery bar there. So now let's get a game out in the Emil 1951. Now, as I said, this tank is a little bit slower, but one of the major advantages of the Emil I like is the fact of how much smaller and compact this vehicle is. I mean, just look at the size comparison of these tanks. The Emil is like literally half the size, which means that you can get in the positions a lot easier and not be detected. And once you get in the positions, really your only weak spot is the turret, and it's quite a small target to shoot at still. So here we are in a tier 8 game. We are up against some tier 9s, and not just some tier 9s, but 2 of the strongest tier 9s in the game. And we have not 2 of the strongest tier 9s in the game. I mean, sure, WZ-120 can be strong, but I doubt that player is going to be that good in it. I really pray. Either way, I'm just hoping that really the M5Yo and 50 TP don't work together and push to the outer side here, because, as I said before, while the turret armor on this tank works, it doesn't work too well when you've got good pen. And both of those vehicles have plenty of pen to cut straight through my turret armor. Vehicles like the Emil 1, Action 10, those vehicles, yeah, they're going to struggle a lot more to cut through my turret. So mobility-wise, as you can see, we're getting in the position here, driving up the hill, 32 kilometers per hour. Nothing too fast, but it's also not slow either way. What are you doing? Oh, he's stuck. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Why do I always get the worst teammates? Either way, there is my Progetto, who's just bleeding health out the kazoo. There's a bounce shell on the Emil. And wow, good job, Progetto. You managed to bleed half your health. I'll give him a little bit of a medal. There's one nice shot into the 50 TP. Let's get maybe one more shell out into his tank. I don't really know what to do here. I mean, if I'm going to be in all honesty, my team seems like they're really bad already. Oh, gee. Yep, there goes my M6Yo, M5Yo, whatever you want to call it, just slapping shells into my T-54, and this is just not going well. Hopefully my team is able to push through here and we're able to clear the enemy. If they do that correctly, which they're not, they're just too scared to push an Indian Panzer. Wow, this team is something else. Okay, well, let's finish off the Indian Panzer myself, because I know how to drive my tank. Let's now start shooting in the rear of the 50 TP prototype. So there's one shell in, there's two shells into his tank, and that is a pretty big chunk of hit points if you think about it. About 600 taken off of that vehicle. There goes my Progetto. Good job from that player. We've got the T-49 off to the side. It's just like every time I shoot somebody or I try to deal damage, my team just negates that damage by sucking. Hopefully, my team is going to stop sucking a lot, and we're going to be able to come out with some victories here. So let's see. We've got a lot of the deadly tanks over here. We got that Action 10 off to the side. Let's aim it on his vehicle. There we go. One nice tap into his lower plate. Oh, are we going to be able to get another one out? No, that shot did not go anywhere near where I wanted it to. We've got the M5Yo over there, and we got this Action 10 poking again. We're just going to tap a premium shell right into the roof of his turret. I mean, this is where that turret armor works. You can see I'm only exposing my turret, and because of that, I'm getting some pretty nice bounces out. Again, just reloading this clip, 10 more seconds left. I'm praying that my WC-120 is able to finish off the enemy tanks, but right now, you never know. We've got the M5Yo up top here, so let's see if we can get some shells into his vehicle. Aiming, poking, and fire. There's one shot into the M. Oh, wow, that guy's running the big alpha gun. It didn't look like that when he shot my teammates earlier. Well, let's get one shell into the 50 TP's lower plate. Let's go for one more. There you go, finishing off what is most likely the deadliest tank on their team, being the 50 TP. Really praying that my tier 8s over there do a decent job, but it's going to be pretty close. I don't really know. I'm going to reload my clip once again. We're going to see if I can get some pretty nice shells out into their team. So 5, or I'm also hoping that M5 doesn't get some nice shells into my vehicle here. But let's reload. Let's see if we can do that right now. And reloading, and here we go. Let's get some nice shots into the M5. There's one shot into the O, and let's see if we can get one more out. No, he's not going to let me do that just yet. But with that time we've got, let's get a shell into the Progetto maybe. There you go. He's going to poke that, and we get a nice shot finishing off the Progetto. We've also got like the Action 10 over here, so maybe we can get a nice tap into his turret. Just bouncing off of it. I mean, I got to be worried about the T-49 off to my side as well, so I really just wanted to get that shell out so I could deal with, again, the threat at hand. So let's reload here. 12 more seconds left. 10, 9, 8. This T-49 is not liking me all too much, and even though this game is pretty tricky, if I'm going to be honest, I mean, this battle, it's not going the way I've been wanting it to, clearly. We are okay. Okay, clearly my luck today is just fantastic, as you can tell. But let's see if we can finish off this T-49. I really, really need to finish this guy off. But hey, at least if we're just okay, I guess he's just bad. I was gonna say at least if we're distracting him, that's pretty good. But either way, I think we can win this. I mean, all they got left is an M5Yo, who's a pretty easy kill, and an Emil 1, who again should be a pretty easy kill as long as our team works together. I mean, it's 3 versus 2, and I've got plenty of hit points left. So I'm gonna push my tank towards the Emil 1. We're gonna see if I can get some shells out into his tank. Speed is key. Here we go. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, let me get past you, VK. Here we go. And there's one shot into the Emil. And with my teammate finishing that guy off, there you go, getting the second shell in. This was a very solid game. Honestly, from the beginning, I thought this was going to be a loss, which would have really gotten me upset because I really like keeping my win rate in the Emil. There you go, Mastery, 3,500 damage. But I really like keeping my win rate in this thing because it's 87%. It's my highest win rate tank in Tier 8. I love it. But, yeah, in all honesty, this is just a flat-out better tank. I mean, you saw me working hull down, and the Action 10 had no chance of penning me. Really, the only vehicles that could pen me were the Tier 9s, and when we look at the Samoa turret, I mean, it would have just been butter. Personally, I believe that this tank is not worth the price, because the Emil comes for cheaper, and it's a better tank, and you can probably get this tank on the Blitz fair for a heck of a lot cheaper. So, save your money, get the Emil 1951, and even if you don't get this tank, literally just go and buy the Tech Tree Emil. It's free. I mean, you can get it right here. It's got a good gun, good premium pen, good standard pen, decent DPM, and fantastic armor. Plus, it looks really nice. This tank is probably still one of the best tier 8s in the game, in my opinion. And yeah, way worth your time and way worth your effort to grind rather than spending your hard-earned money on a Samoa. Let me know what you guys think about this tank in the comments down below. But other than that, stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.